moving along to other reports, Gary, Roadmaster.
We've had Chevy Kodiak's been up to raise. We had a leak in the fuel tank. And I believe it's fixed now. We've been working on a water project on Shakopee Road, the Rosanelli and Gallagher property. It's been a very touchy situation with water and runoff running down in with sediment going into Ken Rosanelli's pond. This has been going on since 2011 after Columbia Gas went through and took the driveway away that used to run up the pipeline, and Mr. Gallagher had to put a new driveway in. So that's an ongoing project. I reported at the last meeting that we had a water problem out in the parking lot. Since then, we've cured that problem. We've repaved where we dug it up. There was 3 other real bad spots in the parking lot where mud was coming up through, so I had them cut out, and we repaved in to save the parking lot. The parking lot's been out there over 25 years, so it's had a lot of truck traffic and stuff. Seems to be a big turnaround for all the trucks going by. Now we've managed to do some brush cutting. We did some shoulder cutting, which is in pretty good shape. The only thing we have been able to do this year is cut the weeds along the roads because I can't find a way to mow them. And the mower we used to rent was sold. I looked into renting another one from a company up around Wilkes-Barre, and they wanted $3,000 for the week. And it just,
I'll go out there and.
it just didn't seem to justify $3,000.
Me too, get the weed whacker out.
So,
Something.
that's all I have.
Couple of questions. Is the driveway at Gallagher's permitted
Yes,
by the township?
the township and our engineer approved it.
Okay. Who is in the best position to explain what's being done up there?
Gary Clark.
Clark, could you explain what's being done up there?
I will explain it in detail. Let me explain a little bit first. In the last couple of years, I'm a supervisor who had gotten elected 2 years ago. I'm not in charge of roads, but I do have 30 years of experience in dealing with drainage. I was told that there was water coming off our road that was muddying up the pond. Now, it's not just our road, there's a driveway, it's a residential driveway. I've seen it over the last year and watched on heavy rainstorms. I've watched where the water comes from, where it goes to. There is an existing pipe, and some of it would go there, and some of it would, actually the last rainstorm, this is Mr. Rosanelli's property. The water ran across the street and ran into his garage. Now, when I ran, I said, we're there for the taxpayers of Milford Township. We should be there to help them in any way that we can. Gary asked me about a week and a half ago if I could do something with this. I come up with a plan. I implemented the plan, and we started to work on it. Now,
Can I interrupt, or do you want me to hold questions for the end? Who approved the plan? If 2 supervisors are discussing
No.
a plan, how does?
Gary said to me, he said,
No, you said you implemented a plan.
I'll
I'm
plan,
asking.
by myself, right. In other words, I come up with this idea and I said, hey, look, here's the bottom line. The water's got to go from point A to point B. You can't have it deviating off the road and going across the road into a man's driveway, okay? We're there, let's face facts. We're there for those people who pay their taxes to this township. So as the man who was up there saying, hey, look, we got to correct the problem, this is very small. This is not big. When it comes to taking care of water, this on my scale is 1/8. I've dealt with a lot more than this. What we did was we put a 1,200-gallon tank in the ground. Now, you never know what's in the ground until you core test and you get down in there. What I've learned is this whole area is filled in. It was filled in 3.5 feet, and there's actually layers to show it. So, and we had a 4-inch rain, which brought the water table up high, which as you get down into the 9-foot layer, you actually get into gravel, you get into what they call river bottom, round rock, sand, all that. But it can't drain away yet because the water table is just so high. What I come up with will work regardless whether the water table's high or low. The shoulder did have modified in it. We all know what happens with modified. It runs down and it gets to the bottom, it collects at the bottom, and then you get a big pool modified there, and then the water just goes every which way it can go. This bank that it's up against right here, this is the work area, the orange. That's it. That's the whole entire work area. This bank is all rock. We're just gonna pave that. It's a 24-inch strip. Other roads already have that 24-inch strip. You pave it, you guide the water down, coming off our road, and you guide it down into it's a dry well. You guide it into a dry well, and then what happens is it's surrounded by 20 tons of stone, and it doesn't matter how high it gets, there are 4-inch pipes that come out that drain into a 24-inch pipe to go down.
Excuse me, they
Now-
drain from where to where?
Now, they come out of the rock ring, and they're only supposed to come out about 6 inches into the rock ring, because what it does is it allows the water, allows the water to go down in. Now, the water settles itself out, and all the contaminants, the salt, the dirt, the debris, the garbage that people throw, it settles in here. It comes on the outside of the ring, it's still settling out, and then if the water gets high enough, what happens is it starts dribbling out and coming out the 4-inch pipes.
So I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. You're saying that the 4-inch pipes are connected to this 1,200 gallon?
Yes, and by the way, they were already installed by somebody previously who gave permission to do this. These 4-inch pipes, now what I did was, I analyzed the area. What they had done previously is they dug a pit here, but they only dug down 2.5 feet, they put rock in the ground, they put 4-inch pipes, PVC coming out of it, drain pipe, going into the inlet. Now, talking to the man across the street, he said that worked for about 6 months. So if that worked for 6 months, and what we did was put a 1,200 gallon tank in and surround it with 20 tons of stone, we can hold more sediment, because what happened was, all these rocks got choked off with sediment. Now they don't work anymore. So this gets a ridge written in here, and none of it could go in here, and you didn't really want it in there, because then the man gets mud in his pond. So what it would do is just run all over the place. There are some complications. This driveway has water coming down it. This man, his name is Mr. Gallagher, has agreed to fix this whole thing. He's waiting for us to get done. Our part is very, very small. It's just not a big part. The only thing we got left is this paving, and the paving around the ring, and a little bit of paving up here. Not a lot of water comes from the other direction, from this direction. On that 4-inch rain, most of the water was coming from here, and actually all the water was coming from here. This can handle with ease with 4-inch pipes, with ease. We could never, ever handle a catastrophic storm. No pipe out there can handle that. The pipes down the road from me, I live on Moon Valley, are 18 inches in diameter. That night, a 4-inch storm put it right over top of our road, okay? So we're never gonna, that's all understood by the property owners. But like I said, when I got dealt this, I thought that this should be corrected, because if this was anybody else's pond, which it doesn't matter.
Who dealt this to you? This is what I'm trying to find out.
Why, excuse me, but why are you being so critical on trying to fix something that is one of our taxpayers out there? That's what it really galls me, that here we are trying to fix something, and you're just pounding on, oh, who did this and who did that? Why? Why?
Was a decision made by 2 supervisors exclusively and
He
outside
dealt
of a
it-
meeting
He dealt,
to
no,
do
no.
this? That's
No,
what I'm trying
he
to
dealt
find
it to me,
I walked away from it because
right, because we know better than what
I
you're trying to say and breaking the sunshine.
I just walked away, I let
All right.
He walked
Gary
away,
do it.
and Jerry came over to me and I said, Jerry,
So
Yeah.
you took it upon yourself to overstep the roadmaster.
no,
To
he
do it
dealt
right.
it.
No, I dealt it.
He dealt it to me. So now he
Really?
said, Gary, can you fix this problem?
And
This,
Gary-
by the way, excuse excuse me.
No, let me finish, you finish your presentation.
Because
That's where we'll
for,
go.
this has been going on for 4 years. This man's been dealing with this in this pond, in this driveway. Now, mind you, none of this is taxpayer money. None of it. We already got a $7,000 check by the gas company to correct anything. We're way underneath the $7,000 for doing our work, way underneath. So we're not spending any money from the outside to correct this problem.
Did we or did we not expend part of that money previously?
Couple $100 was all spent.
$300.
Okay.
$300.
Just asking questions.
Couple $100.
So we're well within, and when it comes to the right-of-ways, we made sure that we stayed within our right-of-ways, so there was no issue there. And this really doesn't scale it right, because this pipe here is 15 feet off, where this one's only 6.
And what is the right of way there?
32 feet,
33.
33, sorry. So we stayed on our right.
Based upon your knowledge of what? An examination of a deed?
I actually called in and asked Gary, I said, what's our right-of-way for Shakopee Road, just so I know,
Well,
because
no,
every
that's-
road has a right-of-way.
I'll ask Gary the same question. What are we basing that 33 feet on? Did we somebody examine the deed?
That's what I've been told. All township roads are 33 feet since I've been a supervisor for 14 years.
But my point is, now, he handed it off to me. Why would you make such a big deal out of trying to correct a problem? And then to get this, I don't learn about it until today. There was an engineering done on this back in 2011. I almost followed it to the T with what I did. Almost to the T. The only thing I didn't
Do we have that
do,
report here?
the only thing I
Yeah, I
didn't
have the
do,
engineering plans in the office.
yeah, the only thing I didn't do is I didn't put a grate all the way across the driveway, which I would never put a grate all the way across the driveway, because you're gonna get, this is modified, you're gonna fill it all up with modified. This man here is gonna tip the whole driveway, and he's gonna tip it back, and he's gonna bring his down this side. He's actually gonna put another one over in here. So we're gonna have double redundancy on cleaning the water before it gets into his pond. And I'm a firm believer in trying to keep the waters as clean as you can. Can you get it all? Absolutely not. Every time it rains out there, we go down the road, and what's the first thing you see in the gutter? Dirt, because every modified driveway out there puts dirt out. What we're trying to do is filter out the largest percentage that we can. And I believe there might be a little bit of quirk in here, just a little bit, that we might have to fix. I talked to Mr. Gallagher about it, he's all on board. Might have to do something in here, not sure yet. But like I said, other than that, this idea goes back to the Romans in cleaning water. They would take large rocks, smaller rocks, smaller rocks, smaller rocks, and then they would drink the water, okay? It goes way back. This is nothing new. This is just old school. Is there any more questions on this?
When you're done.
Okay, well, I don't see anything else that I really need to elaborate on. I think everybody's got the gist on this, right? And we all agree that water should be cleaned before it goes into a man's pond, and we shouldn't be putting it into somebody's house. I just disagree with that totally.
I'm not asking that, I'm asking if you're done with your presentation.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, and what does the yellow indicate down there?
The yellow is the water. In other words, that's the flow of the water now. It's all rock lined up into here, but there's not very much water coming down through there.
But there is, it's not an intermittent stream, because it's a continuous brook, is that right?
And that I don't know, because in the driest this summer, last summer, I remember going by there, and I didn't see too much water going in there.
Mr. Strain, to the best of you've lived in that neighborhood forever, to the best of your knowledge, does that flow all year?
I can't see the map. Are you talking from the trout pond between the ponds?
Yeah, between the ponds.
Between the ponds on one side to the pond.
That's spring fed, that runs in some fashion all year.
So in other words, it dribbles and then it goes a little bit. But that has no bearing on what we're doing here, is that correct? Because
Well, it has a lot of bearing on
we
what
didn't
we're
touch
doing.
any of this. We have not touched anything in here, nothing.
I think it has a lot of bearing on what you're doing,
Okay.
all right? My next question is, there's two sources of water there. One is the water which is running where you say shoulder,
Down your shoulder.
yeah, down that shoulder, which is clean water, it's clear water when it's coming down there. Is
It
that-
wasn't last week.
In a 3.45-inch rainstorm, which is what it did measure a week ago Sunday, the water coming down there was clear, the water coming down that driveway was mud and silt.
Mhm.
Now, if the property owner was also interested in doing this, why didn't he do it years ago? First, I mean, that's a question, I guess, for the property owner. The next question is, It makes no sense whatsoever with a 1,200-gallon tank, which is not really, and I'll accept your abbreviated version, it's 2 concrete dry well rings in the bottom of a brook bed, which is essentially what you did, because when that hole was dug out, it was filling with water as you did it. When the concrete contractor, Peapack Sand and Gravel, was lowering the tank rings, and I was there for, when they started the first one, they're lowering it into several feet of water, and it was unlevel, and in fact, they had to pull that tank out so you could throw more gravel in there to sort of level it up. Is that correct?
You always throw gravel in. Yes, it did have water. I
Okay.
explained to you that it doesn't matter whether or not, like now, there's 5 feet of water in there, because it still works.
And
It
what is-
always continually works.
What is the distance between where you showed, well, there's a couple things, it says inlet, that'd be for the 24-inch pipe that's going
Right.
under the front.
Right.
What's the distance between that and the center line of that?
What's the difference between this and
And the
this?
center line of the 1,200-gallon tank?
Oh, it's something like 18 feet.
No, it's less than that, but well.
It's
I'm
right
not
around
gonna-
there,
I'm not
we
gonna
measured it.
dispute
Yeah, we measured.
All right, so when you dig a hole a week after a heavy rain, which is in the bottom of a brook bed and it's filling up with water as you do it, doesn't that indicate that maybe the solution isn't a good one?
No, because we're dealing with something that you have let go since 2000.
doesn't
Wait. You let it go since 2011. That's 4 years.
I personally,
4 years.
I
Well,
personally-
you're a supervisor, you were here longer than me, and the gentleman across the street says, look, I've been dealing with this since like 2011 and nothing's getting done. I said, well, let's do something, let's fix it. Now that we're fixing it, all of a sudden it's an issue. Now, I understand what you're telling. If you don't understand something, it's fine. It can have water in here. It doesn't matter. You gotta remember this, the engineers or nobody doesn't know the top 3 feet, how much water that's gonna absorb as that tank starts taking on water.
Didn't-
Nobody knows that, because it's gonna still seep through the ground and go over into that inlet through the ground.
with deference to your experience at PennDOT, did you consult an engineer before you did this?
No, no.
So we
Because
did,
it's so minor, it's not a major project.
I don't know that
This
it's
is
so
such a
minor, the
project.
concrete products alone were $1,300.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's minor.
okay, and the water has been accumulating in that since it was put in.
Actually, it hasn't moved, I measured it 2 nights in a row, it hasn't moved.
And what is it now?
It's at 5 foot 6 inches, which is.
66 inches.
Yeah,
And it's 66 inches in a 72-inch,
Yeah.
72-inch driveway.
right.
So a week and a half, well, not a week and a half, excuse me, a week and a day, after 3.45-inch rain, because that's what it did measure on a US certified rain gauge, we actually have about 100 gallons of space for water to flow into.
Yep, and you know what we do have though? We have a place that now all the silt that does come out of that bank, and I guarantee you.
The silt's not
Wait,
coming-
it's gonna come out of the bank eventually.
Why?
Instead, see, you could have, you're right, you could have taken this pave legally, I'm sure, and dumped it, the water, right into his inlet.
Don't
which-
represent what you think
But-
I might have said. I did not say that. And that's why, in fact, this has been a problem for the last number of years, because we have been trying to find a solution to it.
Well, maybe we just found one.
Well, I don't think you found a solution
Well,
when
you
you're
don't
gonna
know that
capture. I absolutely do know it, because in the next rainstorm where there is runoff, and there was a light shower last Friday morning or Thursday night, but there was no runoff, because I checked, right? We have 100 gallons of space to accumulate dirty silted water before it goes into
That's,
the
that's
brook.
not true.
How do you
Yep.
figure that?
Because as the water comes down, the water actually settles out into the 1,200 gallon tank. Okay, so water comes into a tank, and now it's dumping in. You're right, you got space. All the heavy sediments that we all know today, what do? They fall to the bottom. So now as they fall, the heavy sediments fall to the bottom. Now the lighter water continues on out to pipes, if the groundwater doesn't take it around there. Because we don't know what the absorption rate is for that top 3 feet. We have no idea how much water. Now, according to this man over here, when they put this 2.5 foot of stone in, and they put these pipes in, it worked for 6 months. So somebody, and I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm wrong here, I'm just saying something worked. And now, if we can correct ours, And that's what it's all about, the township correcting our problem, and this gentleman jumping on board and correcting his problem.
Which he hasn't done in the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, no, he's waiting on us to get this paved and be done. He's got a contractor, I know the contractor, he's got a contractor, they're gonna finish their part. Would I tell him what to do? Absolutely not, it's private property. But he's got a contractor that deals in water, he knows what he's doing.
Well, if it's
So-
the same contractor that did the road, with respect to the contractor, he doesn't know because he created the problem.
Well, maybe
I
it's
don't know
not,
that it is.
maybe it's not the
I
same
don't know that
one.
it is, I don't know that it isn't, and it's not appropriate, but either way, the fact of the matter is there's clear water coming off of the area that you indicated as red. There's muddy water coming off of Gallagher's driveway. We permitted the driveway as a township, and it should have been enforced, and it should be enforced, that he solves the problem. Not that we go out there and put in a 1,200-gallon tank in the ground, which when the water is flowing, and sometimes it does flow an easy 150 gallons a minute down his driveway and the shoulder, what you've indicated is the shoulder, that somehow miraculously that's gonna filter out instantaneously before it goes into the brook. The other thing was, we went up there, somebody and myself today, and best we can figure out, those 4-inch drain pipes, which you're talking about, don't even connect to the brook. So, excuse me, they connect to the brook, but they don't connect
Well,
into the
they're
tank.
right in the picture here, so I don't know what you're talking about there, because I got a picture of them where they do connect in.
Well,
And it's right there they are.
no, absolutely, I agree with
There
that.
they
but-
are. It's
But they're
pretty
not,
simple.
they're not in your tank.
Oh, yeah, they don't go in the tank, because you don't want them in the tank. You want them, this is 20 tons of clean stone.
Right.
You want them in the clean stone because you want a filter. What we're doing is making a filter. And what I want to do is protect the township. You gotta remember there's salt, and we use salt. And he doesn't want salt, this gentleman doesn't want salt in his pond either. So we're gonna do everything we can to clean our water before it gets to point B, which goes right into his pond. Plus, we're gonna cure this problem so he doesn't have a problem with the water going down into his driveway, into his garage.
You've already stated that.
Okay?
But is there filter fabric in any of this system?
You don't need filter fabric in this. You want it to actually go out, what happens is, we don't know what the ground's gonna do after a while. In other words, is the groundwater table gonna go down? And if it does, well now, what happens is as the water comes down in a quick rainstorm, and that's where this all happens, is the quick ones. Well, if that tank, if it drops down to 2 foot of water, well now, a lot more of the water will actually filter its way out.
And how can that tank drop down?
No,
To
I'm
2
talking
feet
about
of-
the water level. Who knows what the
How
water
can it
level
drop
is
down
gonna
to
be?
2 feet when it started within hours of you doing this at 40 inches and now it's
Yeah.
up to 66?
We also have 9 inches above rain in the last month and a half,
All
so.
right, well, that's
so
all
we
great,
don't-
but what I'm asking is, we get 2 inches of rain tonight, how's that gonna work?
Well, we're not, nobody's done. You are picking a project apart when all we got is this part here done, and we dug this to get the paving done. Now he's gotta complete his part.
And what is he gonna do by way of, quote, completing his part?
He's gonna have a gentleman come in, they're gonna redo the driveway with some kind of material that's not gonna run off, I'm sure.
Well, wait a minute, no, you just said 2A runs off no matter what you do.
Well, it doesn't matter, he might not use the way. We don't know what he's gonna use, he's a private individual. I'm not gonna tell him to pave it, but if he wants to use millings, well, that's fine too. And if he uses millings, millings don't run.
Does the township have a responsibility when they issue a driveway permit to make sure that all kinds of crap water isn't coming out onto
That
our road?
driveway permit was issued before I got here.
I'm not
So that would
asking
be
you.
under you. So I guess that would be you.
No,
Back then-
I was never the road commissioner, let's stay,
Well,
let's stay focused.
why would you attack me on something
I'm
when
not
I wasn't
attacking-
even here?
Did I attack you? I asked you whether or not it's the township's responsibility, when a driveway permit is issued, to follow up to see that water, muddy water isn't coming out onto our road. Is it or isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you, that's what's my
But
question.
wait, let me clarify for the cameras. I'm 2 years here, I believe in correcting the problem for the taxpayers at hand. And that's what I believe in. This is what I was given, this is what I did, and this is what I want to do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Under my watch, let's just do it and get it done and get it corrected. If something is a glitch in here, let's go back with another 4-inch pipe, if that needs to happen.
All right, well,
Yeah.
can I address the next question? May I?
Yeah.
Okay? We have, even if you accept the fact that we have a 32-foot, 33-foot right-of-way, which I agree is generally accepted, that infringes on that gentleman's property.
Yeah, no, it
The
doesn't.
tank most certainly does.
No, because we measured it yesterday, and actually it doesn't. The edge of the tank is right there,
Yeah?
and in the
No,
stone.
the center line of that tank is 16 feet
No,
off
it
of
is
the
not.
road,
It
the
is
center of
not.
the road.
It is not, it's 14, we measured it.
You can write anything you want, we'll go up there and measure it if you
Well,
like.
yeah, I could pull the tape over too.
No, I am telling you right now, it's 16 feet, which means you have an encroachment on
And you know
that
what,
gentleman's property.
and you know what's so nice about this?
No, I want to,
You know, wait,
you
you know what's so
not
nice?
have an encroachment on his property.
You know what's so nice about this? I called this gentleman up, he's a wonderful man. I said, hey, and we're not over, but I said, hey, if we go over, is it okay if the stonework is over? Gary, you do what you gotta do, I'll do what I gotta do, whatever, let's get this problem corrected. Here's a gentleman right here who is saying the same thing as me, let's get it corrected for this gentleman over here. And then we've got you who just wants to attack. And that's all there is to it.
I'm asking you if you had our council prepare an encroachment permit so that we can put a permanent structure
Well, then,
on
did
the
they do that
private
for the
property.
pipe? The pipe is 15 feet off it. This is actually here, and the pipe is actually here. Did you do it for that?
Yes, I did,
No.
but either way,
Yeah, right.
the 66-inch diameter drywall ring is about 4 feet onto his property.
Oh,
Now, did we have an encroachment permit that our solicitor prepared to do that?
no.
So why not?
Because this gentleman actually,
Right, and when he turns around, and I'm not saying that Mr. Gallagher, I believe it's Dr. Gallagher, actually.
it's Mr. Gallagher, and he's a very
Mr.
nice
Gallagher
gentleman.
changes his mind next week and says, I didn't say that, he sues the municipality, I guess we have insurance, is that your answer?
Oh, come on, Don. Really? Really? Is that what this is all about? Just to attack? And believe me, that's what you're doing.
You're
just,
telling me-
let's attack, let's not fix that problem. Actually, if it were up to you, we would probably not do anything, isn't that
You're
correct?
telling-
Isn't that what's been going on?
No, Mr. Rosnelli and I have had a solution for years. all right?
Oh, for years, then why didn't you implement it?
Well, I don't know, it seems to me that you took over the roadmaster's responsibility, unilaterally decided to spend township money
No.
to put a
No.
dry well in a
I
brook.
asked, was there money aside for this? And he said, yes, there is. There's money set aside for this. So you're wrong. Taxpayer money did not go to this. This came from the pipeline.
Really?
So you're wrong. Just stop fighting about it. And you know what? Let's see how this all corrects itself. And then in 2 months, you know what? You can call me whatever you want to call me.
Well, first of all, I think we need to have an encroachment permit, an encroachment recorded at the courthouse so that we have that on there. Because it's on somebody's private property.
Well, we'll
You
measure it first, and we're probably gonna have to get surveyors. As you know, roads walk from side to side. This is on a curve, so it's probably the road has walked, and that's what they call it. The road walks from one way to another way. Every time you got an inside curve, every time you got an outside curve, the road literally, when they start pinning them, and they actually put the pins in, you'll find the pins, and on state roads this was notorious, you'll find the pins are a quarter of the way in the running lane. And the reason why is because the road has walked. Well, on this one, if it walked, it actually walked my way, which would be a good thing. But like I said, when I measured it, and it came out 14 feet, and I said, well, we're perfect.
Where are you measuring to, Mr.
The
Clark?
center of the road, because the center
No,
should,
from the center of,
I-
you're saying from the center of the road where?
from the edge of the grate to the center. So you have the
Which
two,
edge of the grate?
the far edge.
No
The
way.
far edge of the grate is where I measured to.
I strongly disagree, but how, I'm still not following the logic of how a set of drywall rings that has 1,100 gallons in it at the moment is gonna solve a mud problem.
Hey, I would have never thought that 3 feet of stone, or 2 feet of stone that you obviously had put in there.
You keep saying I.
Well, you were here back then.
Mr. Williams was the roadmaster, he's been a roadmaster for years, is that
Okay,
correct?
but you were here,
Kenny Gooding did that.
and it
Which
worked.
Little pit worked for
It worked for 6 months.
a while.
Now, if that pit worked for 6 months, a 1,200 gallon tank isn't gonna fill up with sediment for a long time.
Oh, so now we'll have an ongoing maintenance expense as well?
We already have these tanks in the ground. This is not the first one, just so you know.
Where is the other one?
Right down here at Bennett Avenue. We
Same
both-
thing?
Same thing, we both lit it
Right,
in
so
last year, and it
basically,
works fine.
We're having an ongoing maintenance expense then to pump the mud out of this thing.
Just so you know, every time we go out and spread these roads with sand and salt every year, we have to dig out the trenches with the backhoe because they fill up, as you know, it comes down the gutters, goes in the inlet, fills up the pipes. You always have maintenance, you're right. Now, we haven't had to suck that one out because it's probably, these will be on like a 1 or 2 year thing. But whatever it is, you got, who's ever in charge of, like Jerry's the man, he'll look down, he'll know how much sediment's in it, when it needs to be done. Maybe it won't need to be done for 3 years, maybe it won't need to be done for 5. We don't know, because once he corrects his problem over here, this is gonna take just this road water that's up against this bank right here, and this road water coming down out of there. So we don't know what it's really gonna, how long it's gonna be.
Does anyone else have any questions on this before I go ahead?
Did I explain it well enough for everybody? Does it seem logical if it was your house and we're trying to protect it?
All right, my next question is, this was discussed at last month's meeting, and it was decided on advice of council that it was between the 2 property owners and not the township.
I don't recall that.
Do you recall that, Gary?
Where was it? Where did we discuss it?
It was discussed in this building, in that room.
I don't recall it.
Gary, do you remember that
We
discussion?
discussed it, and I had asked for permission from the 2 of you to contact your engineer over it, and I was denied that.
Okay, so there was a discussion, and we decided not to do anything about it.
With an engineer, correct?
Upon the advice of council, it was a matter between the landowners. Now, whether or not the landowners agree with that theory, that may be something else entirely different.
But just for the public's information, back on December 16, 2011, Columbia Gas paid the township $7,070.15 to cure this problem, and we have not spent that money. We spent $300 or $400 back there when County Green did that original permit. They had also paid us $442.75 for an engineering study on that. And I have the drawings, which I forgot I had, in our office, and the engineering study is basically the same thing that Gary has done here.
But we didn't do what the engineer said, and an engineer wasn't consulted in this instance, and it was decided last month that it was a matter between the property owners. Am I right on that?
Yes, and I had spoke
Okay,
to
thank you.
Mr. Rosanelli about it, he wasn't happy with it, so I kinda walked away from it, and I asked Gary to do whatever he could do. I stayed away from the whole project,
When was the original engineering study done? Did you
back
just-
in 2011.
Thank you.
And that original thing with the engineering, actually had a grate going across that whole bottom driveway to catch that runoff. And
But you didn't act on
we
that?
didn't act on that because it was just. Yes, Ken?
Okay, can I clarify one thing? Gary mentioned about the water runoff in my driveway. That water also goes into the stream, muddy, all right? And that's the biggest concern there. It comes across there like a river, goes down the bank, gouges the bank, and goes into the Sawkill, all right? And I've talked to Pike County Conservation, I've talked to the EEP about this, and they tell me you have to deal with the township.
So this will correct that problem if we get that
Well,
water.
I'm not an engineer, but all I can say is, in my mind, regardless of insult to you, the way I read it, it is the township's responsibility, because number one, the driveway is permitted by the township, runs across Shakopee Road, and then goes across my driveway, down the bank, and into an EV status stream. Okay, so I think that's something I just want to be clear on.